But I looked at them and I said, look around, because they came into our facilities and they kind of gave me that look like, who are you? And I just go look. And you could see them breaking down every step of the way as they walked through our facility. And they came back to my front office and they said to me, I want to tell you this. We're here from Washington, D.C. We've traveled the country. We have never seen more beautiful, clean facilities ever anywhere. Wow. We have never seen more beautiful, clean, well-maintained yards ever anywhere. But the thing that makes me want to cry, she said, is the personal interactions with the children. She said, you can tell it's a practice. It's authentic and it's a practice.
Yeah.
And that, she said, is just so impressive.
Same business, different day.
Good afternoon and welcome back to the Same Business, Different Day podcast. I am your host, Zeke Corley. And as you may know by now, some of the episodes this season will be with return guests. No game, no mid-show reveal, just updates from an old friend of the show. Today, I'm sitting one-on-one with Julie Lowen of Children's Paradise. Our first episode released on December 29th, 2020. I'd suggest you go back and take a listen. The story was like a movie. Her journey from a very complex upbringing to the success story that she and her team are today. So welcome, Julie Lowen, to the Same Business, Different Day podcast.
Thank you so much, Zeke.
Yeah, you know what? I should say, welcome the Business Person of the Year from the Heroes of Vista this past March. I was your runner-up, so I remember it real clearly.
Oh, that was fun. That was fun. I was surprised. I thought for sure I had pretty strong competition. So
yeah, that's cool. Well, that's nice of you to say. But no, I once they told me you're running against Julie, I'm like, gosh. Forget about it. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And you also just told me about another announcement that San Diego Business Journal has you as top 50 women of influence.
Yeah, I was pretty excited. I got that email and I was like, wow, pretty cool.
That's incredible.
Yeah, top 50. Yeah.
Wow. I bet you know a lot of the folks that you're around and the other folks in the top 50, right?
Yeah, they haven't been revealed. Okay. So I only know that I'm a winner as of today. I wasn't supposed to say anything because I guess this show is going to be released after the fact.
Yes.
So you'll be able to look it up online, but that was exciting to get that email.
I promise I won't release it early, but congratulations. That's a monster.
You.
That's amazing. Top 50 women of influence. That's so important too, right? Women in industry, women in business. And I want to talk about that a little bit too. Like being a female CEO, sometimes folks don't look at you and in the same way that they might look at your counterparts, right? And they might doubt you and doubt your level of intelligence or strength, power, which is you definitely are. For as long as I've known you, a real powerful force. But not everybody would know that about you, maybe just looking at you or listening to you on the first phone call or something like that. And to be out there and even beyond, let's say, doubting you or doubting your intelligence, maybe also just kind of just pushing you to the side, like, she's not good enough or she's not serious enough. And you get to go out there and actually become the force that you become.
Yeah, I think most women experience what all women experience. But I think that there's a group of women who cheer on strong women, who root for beautiful women, who root for smart, savvy business professionals. And then there's a group of women who do their utmost to get in our way.
Okay.
And likewise, men, there's a group of men that cheer strong women on, and there's a group of men that are not so thrilled with strong women. I think as a woman, you use both of them. If you're strong and savvy, you use both of those to your advantage. If you underestimate me, wow, it gives me a really good a strong advantage because you're not estimating what I'm going to do next, or, you're not realizing the depth of research and reading and information that goes into the decision-making process. So I think that gives me a bit of power. But, being a woman, I think is a powerful thing. It's a very unique thing to be. I think we're individuals in and amongst women. We're not, a monolith. And I think that if you use those strengths to your advantage, can give you an edge as a CEO. I know it gives me a really strong edge.
I agree. Well, I never underestimated you, but like I said, I've always known you to be a force. So I
thank you.
I don't look at it as men and women, but some people do. But one thing for sure, I know about you as a strong business person, period. So do you remember sitting down that episode back in December 2020? You do?
I do. Yeah.
It was fun, right?
It was really fun. It was really fun. I had no idea what was going to happen the next day.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You, I appreciate, you were really open and revealed a lot just in your overall upbringing. I'm going to think about some things that I remember about the episode. One thing for sure that I remember, and I listened to it again this morning, and so it's like real clear in my head right now. The many early jobs, like kind of the door-to-door jobs and all of that. I just think that with you being such a good communicator as you are now, I think that there was probably that early experience really did kind of just continue on in your life in that way, and the fearlessness, right? So there's communication that comes with the door-to-door. I think you were selling greeting cards or something like that.
Peanut brittle.
Yeah. And so just that ability to communicate confidently, what the mission is and folks buying from you, that don't you think that still plays with who you are today?
Yeah, I think it does. I think I have the ability to sell the phone book, and they don't even make them anymore. I think that because I think what it was is that I took the time to learn my product. I understood it from top to bottom, A to Z, and I understood the intricacies of what people wanted with my product. So depending on whatever that was, whether it was the nostalgic, old-fashioned, cut back to your childhood where you're eating a piece of old-fashioned peanut brittle, or whether it's greeting cards where you're actually staying in contact with your grandchildren and, sending cards to your sisters and, writing letters, whatever it was. I just, kind of learned why would people want to buy that, and kind of took it to that level. And I think it helps me in my business today. Why would people want to bring their children to Children's Paradise? Why would they do that? What do they want from me? What are their expectations? Being able to imagine that is definitely something that translated.
So I think that's important, though, even to our younger audience, right? It doesn't matter what their age is. If they're out there selling door to door, right? If they're out there working for somebody and still having to explain this product and then coming home and having to take the shoes off and they're in pain and tired from that long day, not to give up, right? Because these things translate. You just keep working hard and, you use all of those lessons, all of that, experience going forward. I still think that's a good lesson. And I used to sell. My dad used to call it beating the bushes and insurance, right? And we go out there all the time and just, cold calling. Yeah. You got to do it,
But finding a product that you believe in and knowing when, okay, I'm done selling peanut brittle.
Sure.
I'm ready for something else
next?
that I really believe in, that I've got experience here and I'm good. I think I can move on and take on something else. So I used to sell IRAs. When they first came out, the bank offered $5 for every one I would sell, and the person got a free checking account. And right then they were charging maybe $15 a month or something like that. Yeah. And so I would get somebody to open an IRA with $5 and tell them you can save $15 a month. And at one point the bank came to me and they're like, "Why are you doing that for $5?" I said, "You told me $5 is what they needed to open it. I would get $5, so you've got $5, and they can save $15 a month." But I said, imagine what's going to happen when people understand how valuable an IRA is, and everybody's got all these IRAs open with you. You're going to be the one that gets their money because it's hard to open IRA. Look at all that paperwork.
Sure.
They were like, "Oh," I would make like $35 a week opening IRAs.
That's awesome.
But I believed in it because I thought it was a really great way for people to learn how to save money, and it was a really important tax tool. So at Southwest Bank, I sold IRAs. And it would annoy everybody on the teller line because they would show up on Friday and pay me my $5 bills, one after the other at my teller station. I was the only one who'd get it. It was great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, the another highlight from that episode, I remember you telling a story about scraping money together to finally take that leap for Children's Paradise. And so what a lot of folks, and I like to say during COVID, especially, a lot of people started to realize, maybe I can just start my own business. It's time for me to take a leap or something. But even since then, there are still a lot of folks out there who have an idea. And so finding financing is such a major part of that, right? That gamble before you're getting started. So any advice to folks when it comes to finding financing and actually starting a business?
So I think you've got to have a solid idea. I think that a lot of people want to make their first million or their first billion, but they don't really have an idea that they can translate into what somebody needs and why they need it. So I think it's ultimately taking the time to be authentic with yourself, finding your best purpose. What do I really love to do? Because if you're doing something you love, you never have to work another day in your life.
Right.
So I think finding something that you love and then sitting down and understanding why would people want this and what are they willing to pay for it.
Right.
Looking up a business plan, a business model online, and from ground up, really knowing what you want to do before you head out to find financing and do it. I mean, the SBA is a great place to go, but they do require that you've got a business that's operational for 2 years or more. So for you to get SBA financing, that's kind of the way you go. Family, Friend, and Neighbor is a great place to go for, those little startups. But there's nothing wrong with saving money. You've got an idea. Somebody's got to be doing it or doing a poor job of it. Go to work for them and try to find out what they're doing, how they're doing it, and then save money as you're going. And I think, as I was running my home daycare, I was throwing money in the bank. I was putting away whatever I could, on top of, I was taking extra kids, doing whatever I had to do, to save. So I think that's the first step. After you're open for your 2 years, then it's an easier step.
Yeah, if you can make it those 2 years, though, that's the tough time, especially the first year, right? But you wouldn't recommend they go see Aunt Willertha?
Something? She almost shot me. But
I remember the story.
I did. I know. I borrowed $6,000 from my Aunt Willertha, who told me if I didn't pay her back in 6 months, she would shoot me with her gun. And she would have, too. Trust me. She threatened me several times to shoot me with her gun.
Okay, tell me exactly what street she's on.
Trust me, you learn that's my Aunt Willertha. She's epic. So
we can laugh about it now.
I know. I don't know. She probably really would have. She probably really would have. She was a stinker. But I think making it, if you have a solid business plan, it's less of a risk. I mean, for me, I started with a home daycare center. I had a home. I set it up with beautiful toys and, fun activities for the kids to do, and just put a little ad in the paper and said, hey, I'm open. So I didn't have a lot of risk there. I mean, it was my home. I bought some toys and kids could come to me, you know. Right. So there wasn't a massive amount of risk that I took. I mean, maybe we took a little bit more risk starting the engineering firm where Dave gave up his job and, it was feast and famine with, clients that wouldn't pay. And then they, their project would go bankrupt. And so Dave would lose or, stuff like that. There are things like that happen. But I think building into a business plan, the serious steps that you're going to take when you don't make it, when your predictions don't happen or turn out. Yeah, that's part of a business plan.
That's part of it. Yep. That's part of the risk. That's the gamble.
Yeah, it is.
I love it. One of my favorite quotes from the show, you said, business is about making a difference. And when you make a difference, you make money.
That's true.
You said that. I love it. And the other thing that I remember is you said you were going to bring me some cowboy cookies and you never did.
I never did. I just made them yesterday. Oh my gosh. I should have done it. I should have done it. Well, I have a really good excuse.
Okay.
I do.
I believe you.
The day after the show, I went to Scripps and had an ultrasound and was diagnosed with breast cancer the day after. On the 30th, yeah. Well, actually, 30th of December, they pretty well suspected. And then on the 7th of January, it was confirmed. Oh. So last year was hell.
Yeah.
It seriously was. I went through 7 major surgeries, 38 days of radiation. Just, it was a nightmare.
Wow.
Seriously was. Yeah. I lost my father mid-year and missed his funeral because I was in surgery, having cancer removed. It was awful. Man. It was awful.
Yeah, you really did have a good excuse about those cookies.
I know. No, but I did make them for the first time yesterday.
That's awesome. We've talked since the last time on the show, and so I've heard about the health issues, and I'm so glad that you came through that.
It was a nightmare, and then to have to be a CEO the whole time.
Right.
To know. I mean, I'm stuck literally at home for 6 weeks on a couple of the surgeries. They were just epically difficult. And so I'm stuck at home and I'm going, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? How I made it through last year, I do not know.
So how do you? There's got to be something, right? You had some good staff or somebody backing you up, right? So they stepped up for sure. Yeah. And which is awesome because today I know how much I can get away with now. I'm like, I want a vacation. I could actually go. At least for 6 weeks. You're good.
I know it happened last year. I mean, we're dealing with repercussions now. We had an accounting team that we had in place, and they've been our accounting team for a long time, outside services, but they got a new staff member, and she seemed to know everything that we didn't know or wasn't, and it wasn't accurate. And so now we're kind of dealing with some of those repercussions where, we've got to go through and unravel kind of what happened, but thank God our audit was cleaned, perfect, and we're doing good. But it was not fun. And it had a lot of challenges that I'd never faced before, where you can't just show up to work and get the work done. Yeah. You really have to delegate that work, and that was hard to, let go of portions that I thought only I can do this.
Sure.
Well, actually everybody is replaceable. Yeah. There's nobody in an organization that can't be replaced. And I think a lot of times we find, we imagine ourselves to be, invaluable to the organization. No, I can even be replaced, Wow. It was an interesting.
How many lessons you dropping right now? Okay, so we talked financing and continued financing, right? After how many years? How many years you've been in business now?
Let's see. I started the first home daycare in 84. And then I started the one that led to Children's Paradise in 90. So, so
that's 32 years.
Time. Yeah. I was only 5 though, I promise.
And then, so there's that lesson, right? To continue financing, even 32 years later, that you can still be trying to figure out, okay, are these numbers working right? Is this audit going to check out,
Yeah.
And so that's important for folks to know. You go into business and like I said, it's not just smooth sailing.
No, because now, I mean, my company will hit about 25 million this year.
Okay.
I want to go to 500 million.
Okay.
So when you're at 20 million, 25 million, and you want to go to 500 million, well, I've got a plan to go to 50. I think I'll be able to hit that maybe by the end of next year or possibly a little bit into the year after. But I think I'm on target for that. But how do you exponentially expand that, from 50 to 500? That's a huge, huge expansion.
That's right. But it's the plan.
But that's where I want to go.
Right.
I mean, why not? And everybody will say, well, why not be happy at 50? Well, why do this if you're not doing it? If you're going to do it, you might as well do it, right?
Right.
I know you wasn't expecting this type of commercial of another podcast coming in, but whoever you were listening to, they're irrelevant at the moment. What I'm saying right now is we have a brand new podcast that you should stop listening to whoever you listen to in this moment and listen to us at Odd Pairing. It is about adult beverages and
Paige. I'm supposed to tell you about that.
And Paige is going to tell you a little bit more.
So it's adult beverages, food, community, culture, and basically anything else we find interesting through the drinking.
Yeah. And as you can see, we've been drinking a lot today because we already did episodes. So at any time, you guys can find us when you finish with this podcast, whoever you listen to. You can find us at YouTube. You can find us on Spotify and iTunes and anywhere else you get your
Instagram
podcast stuff. And you can also find us on Instagram, where you will find hilarious memes and some snippets from our show at Odd Pairing Pod. Cheers.
Cheers.
Hello, friends. This is Joe Samo from the Samo Law Group. I am the host of Run It By My Lawyer. Over the years, I've had so many people that have had legal issues and legal questions and legal concerns. And I always, over the more than 20 years, I've been telling people, before you sign anything, before you do anything, if you have a problem, just run it by my lawyer, right? Just run it by me. And now I have a podcast doing just that. You can call me, you can email me, any questions you have. I love hearing from people and answering legal questions. And on our podcast, we've talked about everything from free speech, gun rights, anything you want to discuss, employment rights, everything. So you have an issue, run it by my lawyer and watch this podcast. You'll be entertained and you'll learn the law. Love to see you. You can find me anywhere, okay? YouTube, Spotify, Apple, whatever you want. And if you can't find me on some platform, let me know and I'll come find you. All right, thank you.
Hi, I'm Rachel Belt, President and CEO of the Vista Chamber of Commerce. Over the last 20 years, I've had the privilege of living and working in Vista, and I've met some amazing people with amazing stories. And I'm thrilled to bring them to you as part of Velocity, the Vista Chamber podcast, where I interview the movers, shakers, and change makers impacting the Vista community and beyond. I hope you'll join me as we journey together to hear the stories of the people doing amazing things for our town. Velocity, the Vista Chamber podcast. Find us anywhere you get your podcasts.
That's why I brought you back. That's the kind of conversation I want to have. It's like, okay, like staying motivated, expanding. Like, do you see a finish line where a lot of folks, that's what they see, right? I'm just going to go make this $25 million and then I'm out. Or are you just constantly working and building? And so you've got a plan. You've got your eyes on 500 million. Yeah. Right. And so, I mean, that's just amazing. And so then that's got to keep you motivated. You're not losing interest. It does.
Yeah. I would say the finish line is constantly moving. Constantly moving. Love it. And it depends on, there are specific things that move it. Mm-hmm. Like I saw a school up in Ramona was brought to my attention. It's for sale. Do you want it? Well, I don't know. I'll go look at it. Mm-hmm. So I went up there and I went, nah, I don't think so. I just kind of walked around the outside. I don't think so. Mm-hmm. And so one of my staff members says, well, I'll go look at it with you. Let's look at it one more time. We walked inside. Mm-hmm. We saw kids laying on the floor with no blankets, with no cots, no sheets, with no mat, just on a filthy floor. We saw a dog bed was there, and it was dirty. Dog bed was the book, cushion. We saw babies sleeping in a nap room with all the doors closed and nobody was in there with them. And there were plastic bags sitting outside of the cribs. We saw playgrounds that had asphalt, that had like 1/4 of an inch of dirt over the asphalt and a slide coming down right there. We just saw this environment that was so dangerous for children. And I couldn't do it. I bought it. Wow. It was like, I couldn't do it. I bought that and a lot next door. I'll be developing a site for 150 kids there. Was it because I wanted more money? No. It was because I could not leave those babies in hot Ramona in that place. I couldn't do it. I love it. When I had the chance to go in and change their lives. And I knew, okay, I can, this money and James will give me a loan for that. And then Milford get out there and he can redesign it and, we'll build it and it'll happen. But the motivation wasn't, and I'll make money. The motivation was, and these babies will have so much fun. They will be able to play and bubbles. And, we had an ice cone, a little icy truck come to the schools and park outside of it for 2 hours, and the kids got unlimited ice cones. Oh, wow. We do stuff like that all the time. Yeah. And somebody who's in it to make money doesn't do things like that. Right. Somebody's in it to do the job and to really get deep into the job because they love it, will do that all day long. Yeah. And guess what? I make more money than the people who don't.
Hey, so back to the quote, business is about making a difference. And when you make a difference, you can make money. Yeah. I love it. Okay, so now we're talking about it. Let's talk locations, expansion, because this is, it's happening, right? It's happening right now. We were just talking about it. So tell us about it.
So we just recently competed in an RFA for something known as General Child Care, acronym CCTR, through the California Department of Social Services. It's providing care for children 0 to 3 and then those 5 to 12-year-olds that are in school. So we competed. The state awarded $200 million, and they awarded Children's Paradise 19.5 of that $200 million. We're like, we got almost 10%. Wow. It was pretty epic. Yeah. We have 5 new centers that are under development. We've got 198 spaces going into Carlsbad, 4.4 million going into San Marcos, another 2.8 going into El Cajon. Looks like we've got a site in Santee, Ramona, and another site in Escondido. So that's what's happening right now. And we're just working to intake all of that.
So we're going from 5 to 10?
So we will go to, let's see, we're at right now locations. I think we're going to 11 right now is what we've got in the mix. But when you say locations, I've got a competitor and she says, well, I have 21 locations. Okay. Well, she probably does $9 million in gross funding with 21 locations. We have 5 locations and we're doing $25 million. It's a difference in capacity. So license capacity is really how you define early care and education sites. Mm-hmm. And a Children's Paradise site, the smallest one is 150. The largest one is about 250. Mm-hmm. So depending on, the number of kids that go into the site will depend on, what our license capacity will end up being. I think we're on target right now for about 1,700 license capacity with our existing locations. And then we have 3 others that we haven't defined the license capacity. So we'll probably end up next year, by the end of next year, at about 2,500 is what I'm thinking.
Wow. Yeah. I want to point out something that you mentioned, because a lot of folks don't speak about their competitors, right? Yeah. At least when they come on this show. And I just want to bring up the fact that when you're creating good business plans, that you have to be thinking about who the competition is. Mm-hmm. That's part of the plan, is knowing what they're doing, what you can do differently, why someone will come to you instead of them. That's part of planning, right?
It is, but that's red ocean planning. Mm. So if you think about a red ocean, there are a lot of fish in it and everybody's eating the smaller fish, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. And there's blood in the water. Mm-hmm. That's red ocean planning. Mm-hmm. What the savvy business person does is creates a blue ocean. Mm-hmm. There isn't anybody in it to compete with you. There's nobody doing what I do.
I love it.
I'm not just, CCTR and CSPP, which are 2 programs from the Department of Education, Department of Social Services, and nothing else. I just do what they tell me to do. Mm-hmm. That's not what we do.
Right.
We have 17 different types of funding. And everybody's going, there aren't that many. Yeah, there are. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so it's about saying, what do families need? Why would a family choose me before they would choose anyone else? Mm-hmm. I mean, my beautiful facilities, that's one. Mm-hmm. That's not everything. You can have a beautiful facility and not do what we do.
Yeah.
And I would say that what we did throughout COVID for families, we kept them off the streets. We literally were their lifeline to activities for their kids, to learning plans, to food, to housing, to everything that they needed to thrive.
Yeah.
And we saved our state government so much money because we had 31 families that were at risk of being homeless at any moment. None of them went homeless because we were there connecting them to the resources that they needed. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of resources out there, and a lot of times they have a hard time finding the people that need them because the people that need them are in crisis mode and they're not out looking for resources. They're trying to figure out how to fix it themselves.
Right.
And so, one of the things that we do is connecting people. So I think that in and of itself, what Children's Paradise is a blue ocean. And there's just nobody else doing what we're doing. And they don't understand what we're doing. They think it's just daycare. Mm-hmm. It's just childcare. It's daycare. That makes no sense. Mm-hmm. And I had a CEO from a large national chain tried to buy me, and I turned him down right before COVID. Oh my God. I can't believe I did that, but I did. Mm-hmm. Well, he was about the money. He wasn't about the kids, and I didn't want to work with somebody like that. But he said to me, I don't get it. Your centers are making 3 times what my center is making.
Yeah.
The same license capacity. What are you doing? How are you doing it?
Yeah.
He tried his best to figure it out. He can't because he's not of that blue ocean mentality.
That's right.
That says, what do children and families need and how can I provide for those supports? Some of them we get paid for, some we don't.
Right.
But we're, full with the waiting list everywhere because families need what we've got and what we're doing. And that's what any business, you can't fail if people need what you do or what you want to do.
Uh-oh, there's another one. You can't fail if people need what you do. I love it. That's a good one right there. Okay, so now, but look, year round, you're running this business year round. How are you balancing like business and pleasure? Like when are you getting some time for yourself?
So Dave and I bought a house. Our daughter moved to Texas, and she moved to a community right outside of Austin. And she's a stylist, and she started having babies, and we went, okay, well, we've got to be able to be Nana and Papa. So we were staying at a resort out there, and it was just really expensive. And I can't bake cookies and make Play-Doh and mud kitchens, and none of that stuff happens at a hotel.
Right.
So we decided to buy a house, and we bought a house in Bastrop in the historic district. It's the Stagecoach House. I live right next door to the Secretary of State under Rick Perry.
Okay.
Coolest guy ever.
Okay.
And he's got the big Victorian, and I've got the Stagecoach House.
Okay.
And I go out about once a month. I tell my staff, I said, you guys want to have a cool boss? You got to let me have off a week a month so I can go see the babies.
That's right.
I head out to Texas about a week out of the month and just, take it easy. I go to that same resort and get a massage and play with the babies, go to the river, bake cookies, just have fun. And then recently my son Andrew moved out there as well. So now I've got 2 sets of babies to see out there. So yeah, it's kind of that, is I would say the primary thing. Well, no, I'm a liar. It's the primary thing, but it really is a runner-up to dancing. I love to go dancing.
Okay.
Because you can't think about work. The music is loud, especially if it's my favorite funk band, B.I.G. Boys Igniting a Groove. I love them. Okay. Because they play funk. They can sing Atomic Dog better than George Clinton. Seriously.
Oh, come on.
Better.
They're local?
They are all over Southern California.
Okay.
Yeah. So they play like at Thornton, and my favorite. And I'm friends with some of them too, so it's really fun. But it's, it's kind of the way I just shake it all off. If I've had a hard day, I'll find a really loud night of dancing and fun, and a bunch of girls and I would just go and have a good time.
Good.
So I would say those are 2 ways. Babies first, runner up is dancing.
I love it. And that's good. You are getting those breaks. I mean, because we need them. We talk a little bit in this season. We talk a little bit about mental health and everything, just getting some time to decompress. And so I'm glad you're finding that time. And I'm sure getting away is always good, right? Getting out to Texas and yeah.
It is.
Spa.
It's nice.
I need a massage. I need to go to a good spa. That sounds great right now.
Our house out there is amazing. I'm a bit of an interior decorator wannabe. And so I did a room out there that's with a 1970s, like state-of-the-art stereo. And then it's got like the really comfortable leather furniture. But then I did James Bond, kind of like a cigar whiskey bar thing with dark blue walls. It's the coolest room ever.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so we have our neighbors. I go out there. They love my cooking, which is fun. Yeah. I love to cook, and I don't get to do that a lot here. So I go out there, and the minute I arrive, when are we coming to dinner? And so I get to use all my china and pretty napkins and make up full-on dinners and see if I can wow them. It's fun. Yeah. Just nothing I don't normally do here. I need to start doing it for sure. But yeah.
Well, I'm glad. I'm really happy for you. I'll say congratulations to you on all those accolades, first of all, but also your good health, right?
Oh, that's the major thing.
Yeah.
And I would say the accolades, that's all my team. I sit here and I say it's really nice as the leader of Children's Paradise to get the recognition, but it's the recognition they all deserve, because they have really every single day that they had on the line for children and families. And the things that I watch them do in service to these children and in service to these families is just so heroic. I can't even put into words. I know I was telling you that we want to create a reality show because people don't understand what happens at an early education and care center. They think it's childcare. We're changing diapers, we're babysitters, everybody's sitting there on their cell phone. Yeah. That is not what happens. At any particular time. I've got child protective services there. I've got people from licensing or Head Start or the Department of Education. I've got individual education plans, IFSPs for infant toddlers. There's so much happening and so much early intervention connecting kids to resources that they need. And you just have no idea the circumstances of families. I mean, what do you do when, you've got 3 little kids in your program and the father overdoses on drugs and they show up the next day, their father died last night. We've had that happen so many times. Wow. What do you do when the little guy, brings a gun to school? Well, his father just got out of jail and hid his gun, which he's not allowed to have, in his backpack. So you're dealing with that. Or what do you do when the mom comes in and she's being abused and you've got to help her move and get all of her things together and get the kids to a safe place? You're responsible for that. You can't just say, oh, that that sounds terrible. Oh, you're being abused.
Yeah.
You know, as us, you know, we take care of that. We don't allow that to happen. So our families have that resource that they can depend upon. And it's a lot.
Hell of a
It's a
reality
lot.
show right
and
there.
there's 220 people doing that every day.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
You know, you always give credit to your team. I even mentioned it in the intro, your journey from a complex upbringing to the success story that she and her team are today. You always do. And I wanted to make sure, because I actually see you guys moving as a unit.
Yeah.
Whenever, you know, especially when around the time of Heroes and everything, it was like, I like that they came to like do that testimonial video for you and all. It always feels like you're one.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. And that's so important with creating a business model, right? If you can create a team around you that are like one unit with you moving forward, then it makes you so much stronger.
Yeah. Well, it's a culture. It's knowing what you do, knowing how you do it, and knowing why you do it first. Why do we do this? And everybody does it for the same reason. We all have to make a living. I tell everybody, I do this to make a living. I couldn't do it if I couldn't make a living as well.
Right.
You know, it's just honest.
Sure.
But why we do it is because we love the difference we make in the lives of kids and families in this community, in every community that we're in. It just makes such a difference.
Yeah.
And so we love that. And I think everybody's on that same page. That makes it easy to kind of move together, because you're always thinking in the best interests of the children and families. That's first. We're not thinking about, oh, how much money is that going to cost? We're thinking, is that quality? Does that improve quality? And we're not frivolous or disrespectful of the resources that we're given. We're very respectful of the resources we're given. But we have no problem engaging resources if it's in the best interests of children and families and makes the job that we do high quality.
That's right.
And we had a Head Start evaluator come in. I had a partnership, former Head Start partnership, that I don't work with them anymore.
Okay.
And they had evidently said something to Head Start about me. Well, she's for profit.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah, I do work for a living. But I looked at them and I said, look around, because they came into our facilities and they kind of gave me that look like, who are you? And I just go look. And you could see them breaking down every step of the way as they walked through our facility. And they came back to my front office and they said to me, I want to tell you this. We're here from Washington, D.C. We've traveled the country. We have never seen more beautiful, clean facilities ever anywhere.
Wow.
We have never seen more beautiful, clean, well-maintained yards ever anywhere. But the thing that makes me want to cry, she said, is the personal interactions with the children. She said, you can tell it's a practice. It's authentic and it's a practice.
Yeah.
And that, she said, is just so impressive. And, you know, when you think about that, you know, I said to her, I get the same money everybody else gets. Think about that. I'm for profit. I get the same money everybody else gets. So if I'm doing something wrong by being for profit, then how am I able to do all of this? And everybody who's not for profit is not. Or there are some people who are not for profit that are not. You know, in particular, you know, I can think of a few. And and you know, I just say that it's easy, you know, to say I'm not for profit. That doesn't mean you're necessarily in the best interests of children and families.
Yeah.
You can be a business person. You can have that mindset that says I'm a social entrepreneur. I do it for the right reasons. And I'm not at all ashamed to say I do it also to make a living. Sure. I have to, you know.
Yeah.
So.
I like it. I like that you addressed that. I've actually heard people mention that before.
Yeah.
So that,
It is. It's almost like it's a detriment. Oh, she's for profit. Well, guess what? Every nonprofit has to make a profit as well, or they're out of business tomorrow. You have to balance a budget.
Yeah.
And you don't balance it evenly. You put some in reserves. That's called profit, so that you can make it down the road, you know, and ultimately I repurpose probably everything we make in profitability, we reinvest in expansion. And I would say pretty close every year. My accountant's going, what are you doing? I said, we're expanding. Yeah. That's what we're doing. You know, it's our job to make sure that this is like Starbucks. It goes everywhere.
Yeah. So tell us how to reach out to you. How do people find you?
So I'm at jlowen@childrensparadise.com. You can reach me through email. Our website at Children's Paradise, info@childrensparadise.com. I love mentoring. I love answering questions. I love helping people grow. I know I had Dick Vogt was the CFO for Vista Unified.
Okay.
And he came into Children's Paradise in the 90s. I was appointed to the Children and Families Commission, and I was in over my head. And it's first 5 now. And he came in and coached me every day and helped me walk through that year of hell, trying to figure out how to be on a public board and, how to carry myself and comport myself. And I really thought I was going to get something done. I didn't know I was just supposed to sit there and look pretty. It was kind of an interesting experience. But he said to me, he never charged me anything for it. And he said to me, pay it forward. Just someday you find, people in business who need some help and support, and pay it forward. And so I coach and mentor people. I've got a girl up in Sacramento building preschools, and she's on her second one. She just opened her second one, and I just mentor and coach her, and she's come down and looked at mine, and, things like that. I love that.
I love that too. Yeah. We've had that conversation as well on the show. We talk about people who are out there actively, they want some information, but they don't know where to find it. And then they're wondering, am I going to have to pay for a coach or something like that? And they can't afford that. But there are people out there like us who are willing to mentor for free. Let's just talk about it. Let's talk. I can give you some ideas or some thoughts, or at least point you in the right direction, or some people you should talk to. And, you'd be surprised what that information is going to do for you going forward. So I love that. You're paying it forward.
Yeah. So I think it's super valuable. I think more valuable than a paid coach is a mentor, is somebody that's in business that you can learn, the struggles they go through on a day-to-day basis, the joys, the worries, the, triumphs, all the different things that happen, as it goes. It gives you a better perspective about what to expect as you go into business for yourself. It's not all roses, you know.
Right.
Well, I guess maybe it is. Roses have some pretty, thick thorns, and they have dry seasons where they're all dead. So it is kind of like that,
hilarious.
But it's just one of those things that, I think I was telling somebody the other day, nobody gets there on their own. I remember when Obama said, you didn't build that, and everybody freaked out. And I knew what he said was ridiculous. But at some level, he was right. You don't do this by yourself. You have a team of people that are investing every day into your idea. And your job is to make them believe in it and to understand the why and to understand the where and the how, and to get that team to gel and move in the same direction. And I think it's incredibly rewarding. But as a part of that, to have an advisory board, to have a group of people that you can go to and say, hey, I'm really cash poor right now. What about this? What about that? I've seen people make some huge mistakes when they're cash poor, take on some very expensive, financing, things. American Express, it looks so cheap. Oh, we'll only take so much out of your account every week. You don't realize there are 4.3 weeks in a month, so it's actually massively more than you thought,
right.
And by the time it happens and you see that much going out, you think about the first few weeks and you think, oh, that would be good. And then all of a sudden it's forever, so it's, understanding the cost of money and maybe getting ideas about where to do it differently or how to manage that. In a multitude of witnesses, there is wisdom. It's a biblical quote. There is, you get a lot of people together and ask questions.
I love it.
Super valuable.
I love it. Reach out to her. Julie Lowen, Children's Paradise. J Lowen at childrensparadise.com or childrensparadise.com. How about social media?
I'm on Facebook under Julie Lowen. Yeah, I'm on Instagram, Julie Lowen. Instagram is Smarty Patch.
Smarty Patch.
Yeah, Smarty Patch on Instagram. I don't know why I did that, but yeah.
All good. We really appreciate you being here and sharing more knowledge and updating us on what you've been up to. Yes. We'll probably have to do it in a couple more seasons coming down the road.
You got it. Super fun. Thank you so much, Zeke.
I love it. Thanks so much. Right. Same Business, Different Day. Thank you for listening to Same Business, Different Day. We truly appreciate your support. Please like, subscribe, and leave a nice comment on all platforms. It really helps our show. The Same Business, Different Day podcast is produced by A Different Day Radio, Star Fox Media, and James Russell.